Hey peeps. So I'm in the car, but I'm sitting still. So I just wanted to make a video for you. I wanted to share some codes, some frequencies with you. And this is just the best time to do it, right? So let's go. So they told me they wanted to share some frequencies with you, and those of you that have worked with me before, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it every time I make a video, so hello, just get prepared for it. I need you to relax, receive, and release. Release any thoughts, images, or feelings that are coming up when you are receiving these frequencies, because these frequencies will break loose patterns, blocks, even hooks and cords. It'll break all that loose. And so be sure to think or say release as you feel that pull or you feel that shift. Just say release, okay? Be doing yourself a favor, because if you hold on to it, you're holding on to it, okay? Let's see what they got for us today. Dimilipehe wankia wahisha. Anchelepehe ndo unimian babayele repeko okoaiba. Hambe eheshi alaye chekele rebehe uku indama. Ameme apaye to koelebehe kipopoi mahapai eshi utu. Unti elea akai ekepohui imbebe uita leasha. Anchelere ialaike oko. Nemea wan babea de dehe e wonka babai e chuga laie neneme e tuala. Hande alaye e te kela o koe e hebe unko em. Me unti ala hea a shela a kia o ko a babi e te ala. Ande de e wile bewa babai o kibe. Just as a note, so when I am transmitting the language of light as a channel for higher frequencies, I can hear myself. It's as though I'm being a witness over here in the corner, right? And so I can hear myself, and I can hear we're going to say the sounds. I can hear the vocalization of the frequencies, and there are times when my ego self over here, my tiny little ego self will say, well, I hadn't heard that before. Or there are times when my little ego self will say, there's a lot of repetition in that transmission. You know, I wonder what the repetition is about. Well, for those of you that have worked with me, you've heard me say there's no translation for the language of light. In my knowing, there's no translation for the language of light. Doesn't mean there's not. It means that I am not in the business of translating it or even attempting to translate it. And so in that way, but I am witnessing it. I am noticing it. I am hearing it, and so I am making notes to myself. You know, like, oh, you know, why? I wonder why they're repeating the same words, phrases, you know, dialects, whatever. I wonder why they're repeating that so much. I have no idea, by the way. It's just the curiosity in me going, I wonder why. Anyway, I just wanted to drop in there and share that with you. And sometimes I do notice, we're going to call them words, okay, because I don't know a better way to explain it. We're just going to call it words. And so sometimes there are words during the transmission that I recognize from other. I have just this much knowledge of other languages, right? And so there are times when I'll notice a word that I recognize from a language other than English. And I, again, it's just the curiosity in me making a note of, oh, I wonder, you know. But what I know about that is that when I was writing the second book, Unlocking the Mysteries of Light Language, I had to ask questions of the beings because, I've gained some experience, I've gained some information through my channel, through my use of the channel, through my assisting with other people, right? I've gained some knowledge and information about the language of light, and but I don't know, in my human brain, it wasn't enough to fill an entire book, and so I was asking the beings to share information with me that I could include in the book, and so I had to ask questions. And one of the questions, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, but this is for the ones who haven't. And so one of the questions was, why do I sound different from another person who is transmitting the language of light? And, why do I even sound different when I'm transmitting the language of light from 1 minute to the next, one client to the next, one talk or light language gallery from the next? Why do I sound different all the time? Different as in, we're going to call them dialects, right? Different dialects. Some people have described when they hear me channel the language of light, some people have described it as sounding Native Americans. For myself, when I'm listening to the transmission, sometimes I get like, I feel an Egyptian presence, or I feel an otherworldly being presence, and sometimes it is a Native American presence, and just different ones that I can when I'm listening, I can pick out a word that is from a language that I'm familiar with. So anyway, I was asking the beings about that. Why does the transmission sound like other languages? And their answer was reminding me that, hold on, let me get a drink. Their answer was a reminder that the language of light was originally, first of all, telepathic, right? That the language of light is not just spoken by human beings. We don't have the trademark on the language of light. The original language of light is the original language, the original way of communicating of the multiverse, the cosmos, the universe, however you want to put it. And so it is the language that everything speaks. Everything. Emphasis on everything. Everything from the sand to the trees to humans to animals to the air to the elementals to the angels, the angelic presences, to otherworldly beings, other planets. Everything speaks the one source language, which humans have named the light language, or language of light. And so the story goes that when we, and this is from biblical, and I'm not a Bible scholar, I'm depending on what others have shared with me. And so I may bumble about that, but hey, do your research. Anyway, what was told to me was that we went into the Tower of Babel at one point in our evolution as life. And I don't know that it was just human beings that went into the Tower of Babel, but of course, from a human perspective, the ones who wrote it in the Bible, of course, were talking or making reference to human beings. But anyway, let me get back to it. So when we went into the Tower of Babel, we, whatever form we were in, went into the Tower of Babel, we were all speaking the same language, i.e., the language of light, source language. And when we came out of the Tower of Babel, we were all speaking different languages, and we broke off into different groups and went into different directions. I mean, my knowing, my inner knowing about that is that was the beginning of the division of life, the separation. Because we apparently all needed to separate out and have our own experiences. And and so there was the division, whether it was purposeful or not, whether it was meant in a dark way or not. This is the way it was. We were all divided out into different areas, and we could no longer communicate with each other, which leads me to believe that it wasn't just humans, right? Anyway, so all of the languages that we now know and speak and listen to and use, whether we are an elemental, a human, an otherworldly being, a sand, a rock, an angelic, whatever way we are verbally communicating is only a fraction of the one source language, because as we split off, knowing different languages, we were carrying that split of the one source language with us. So whenever I am whenever I'm transmitting the language of light, I am only, the way that beings explained it to me, I am only transmitting that portion, that fragment, that sliver of the language of light that is required at this particular time and space. And I used to say, for whomever I am transmitting the language of light for, but consider this. When you are a channel, you have no control, or you shouldn't have any control over, number one, what you're channeling, who it's going to, what's being done with it. Because you agree to be a transmitter. You agree to be a channel. And that's the end of it. You have no control over where it goes, what's done with it. And so I stopped saying, well, at one point I would say for any person, place, or thing, which is true, which is a true statement. And so whenever we are channeling the language of light, we are bringing forth only that small portion of the one source language that's required in that given moment for whatever purpose. And it comes out in whatever language it comes out, whatever sound comes out. There's some people, I have one dear friend who sounds like a snake when she is transmitting the language of light. It's very much I have another who sounds like like an insect rubbing its legs together. I call that insectoid. Or chirps, or one that sounds like a bird chirps. No, I can't even say. I can't even mimic it. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And so further proof, right, that the language of light is not limited to human beings, for God's sake. Our egos are something else when it comes to things. We think that we are the only intelligent beings, and we are certainly not. But where was I going with all of this? Anyway, somewhere in that story there was a point. I have just a few more seconds, so I'm going to finish this transmission because they're bugging me to finish the transmission. So hold that thought. de la heantai ena koi bahabau winta halai e shola ko umama ande andi kalabeyawa me abapahui e poeba ante andu ka ile ashe andu mamai na kaele de be ehuta ne uhepea ha ingahia sheli chike wu kai bea bunda ne un mahamai e ne ke o le bebe o ta le be oisha on chike hele e tu o le henda un da la mai ne me ko ai ba. It just felt very urgent. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. And please do check back for more transmissions and reach out to me if you have any questions. You can reach me at support@patriciawalls.net. I have several websites. The one that I use the most is earthwoman.com, and it's spelled WOMBYN, not MAN. And so, and there's also my Unlocking the Mysteries of Lightlanguage.com website for focused on the language of light. I have a lot going on. I have a lot of things, a lot of events, and there's an event page on both websites where you can find out where I am in person, and also doing some Zoom events that you can join. So check it out, or just come back to my YouTube channel every once in a while and see what's new. See you later.